in the first round, and they lean forward in the second round to take it seriously. You know what I mean? Anyway, next up, Oscar De La Hoya.
Yes.
Fucking, what's this guy's deal?
I don't really know what's going on. So apparently Oscar De La Hoya was actually offered to, he had a fight offered to fight GSP. And apparently GSP was very excited about it. He said it was a dream opportunity. He said he really wanted to do a boxing fight, and against Oscar De La Hoya. I believe I think Oscar De La Hoya was his second favorite boxer. I think first being, I think it was it must be Sugar Ray Leonard or something like that. I think it was. Now with that, that's unfortunately not going to happen because it was vetoed. So even though GSP is retired, when you do retire and you do not get removed from your contract, the UFC, particularly Dana White, is able to veto anything from happening, and you're still technically under contract even though you're retired. And they will freeze that account. They'll freeze that contract when you say you're retired, and they will warm it back up when you have any form of... pretty much they control you. You're their bitch. Yeah. And GSP is on a lead on the UFC and needs to cut that lead off. The same thing happened with Dan Hardy. Dan Hardy's now free from the UFC. However, he was retired for 8 years after having a medical condition, right, diagnosed. And he kept on asking for a fight for the UFC, wouldn't give it to him. And he said, well, fucking let me go then. And they had a little bit of trouble in letting them go. And eventually Dan Hardy did get low. Obviously GSP, bigger draw, huge name, best in the sport, obviously the GOAT in MMA. And the UFC have GSP's contract on a lead, and it's unfortunate that he's vetoed it. Now the second bit came after that is Oscar De La Hoya then went after Dana White, calling him out, and then said, "I'll fight you as well." Yeah, very interesting. I want to find the quote. Yeah, but
just let me bring up some background. I feel like I know why Dana White's doing this. So for two reasons: one, he's not on the best grounds of Oscar De La Hoya.
That's correct.
Yeah, I mean, he had a go at him. He can't even remember fighters' names and all that sort of stuff. And we can agree that he's a pretty bad commentator and all, and he's definitely got some form of drug problem.
He's more just drunk and on coke.
Yeah. But the other thing is that Dana White doesn't have the best relationship in the world with GSP. Like, Dana White remembers because he had a go at GSP when when GSP won to Johnny Hendricks. And then he got mad because we need to run that back as quickly as possible. But then GSP announced in the cage that he was going to retire. And then he takes 4 years off and then comes back and fights the champion at the time, Michael Bisping, and beats him. You know, Dana White does not like that. And I feel like he kind of resents him a little bit for doing that, for just, taking 4 years off and then just coming back, fighting, but then you don't defend the belt as well.
It kind of dilutes the value of the belt.
Yeah.
And correct. The belt is everything. The belt is what they've essentially built their whole combat sport around, right? Is getting that belt. Yeah. And if you dilute the value of the belt by just coming in, dropping it and being like, and then running off, then that's the issue. However, he was going to defend it, but he had
colitis.
He had colitis. Yeah. I was about to say gastric paresis, but that's Gordon Ryan, which is unfortunate for Gordon because Gordon's now actually said he's taking a step back from competition because of that for now. Yeah. We expect him to be back though. Yeah. Anyway, quick aside. So with Oscar De La Hoya, I actually have the tweet. So he says, at Dana White, quit blocking George St. Pierre's chance to fight. How about we get into the ring first, little bitch? Then after I kick your ass, I'll fight a real man. Hashtag De La Hoya GSP. Hashtag let GSP fight.
Dana White's actually got really, really good boxing skills, and he's looking jacked right now.
I don't think
Dana White's looking
he
good.
said he was going to go professional, and he didn't, right? And things like that. And there was all kinds of maybe fights coming out there for him. Well, but I've seen him on the mitts. He's not that good.
Yeah, mate, but he's supposed to fight Tito Ortiz at one point.
To be fair, he's fucking old though.
Yeah, I mean, it's not what I mean. Again, who's watching old people fight? Oh yeah, Mike Tyson versus
and Tito Ortiz versus Chuck Liddell 3.
Just let it go. Stop being children. I don't even see the point. I feel like Oscar De La Hoya is just cooking up a bit of shit because he needs money.
I think he needs money, but I think for any type of retired boxer, they love attention.
Yeah. Not even that, but Dana White even said to Oscar De La Hoya, yeah, cocaine isn't cheap.
Yeah, 100%. But like, I think that Oscar De La Hoya just had an issue with stepping away back into a more seasoned role where he's not fighting and he doesn't have the spotlight on him, and I don't think he likes it, which is why with him and having a big cocky personality, he talks a lot of shit. You know, he has this promotion, the Golden Boy promotion, that gets tanked because of fucking Tito. But then, you know, he's always rubbed shoulders with Dana White, you know, rubbed him the wrong way. So I think he's had an issue, which is why he's coming back, and he was drunk as fuck. He really wants attention. Right, and I think that's what he wants. I think he wants attention. He wants to feel young again. He wants to feel like he's in his boxing prime again, which he's not. And I think for him to fight GSP, I think GSP could beat him just because I think De La Hoya is just not. He's not De La Hoya anymore. No. De La Hoya back then would beat GSP, of course. It's a boxing match, right? However, De La Hoya he's not De La Hoya anymore. He's like a shell of De La Hoya. He's old. He's obviously abused his body a bit with drugs and things like that because he's got some real shit going on. So, look, if he wants to fight Dana White, that would be hilarious. It won't happen because if Dana lost, that would not look good on the UFC, even though he's not a fighter. And to be honest, I don't think Dana would pass a piss test. I think
he would Oscar.
He would have to be. He would have to be like. No, they would be drug tested. In boxing, they'll be.
They can test positive for cocaine.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah.
But with
John Bones Jones.
Yeah, exactly. With Dana, he's not going to pass the piss test, and he's most likely just going to ignore it. He's going to talk some shit to Oscar, and it's not like he needs to fight. Yeah, he would probably want to beat up Oscar anyway.
How does Dana even make the time?
Don't really know, but the main thing is Dana's not going to pass a piss test. He's not. He's not going to. He's going to test positive for fucking everything.
Because there's all these memes going on around him saying like, two photos of Dana White, and then they say, oh, Dana White looks like he just went from being a car salesman going through a divorce to the guy from Fast and Furious.
I know. That's fucked.
Yeah. Do you reckon? What do you think the chances? I don't even think anything's going to happen. I just don't. I feel like.
No, I don't think anything's going to happen.
But even if it does happen, it just downplays the sport of boxing.
Yeah.
Like boxing just keeps getting like further and further and further downplayed. Like there's this bloody, I didn't even want to bring this up on the podcast, but there's this, because I watched it over the weekend and I just laughed, but there's this thing coming up of this TikTokers versus YouTubers.
Yeah.
Have you seen it?
I had a look at that, yeah.
I just like, it's so cringe. Half the people on the card haven't even admitted to training at the press conference. I'm like, it's just ridiculous. Like you can't play boxing and they're acting like they can. And they just care about the fat check because they have so many followers on YouTube, on TikTok combined.
I thought it was funny that they when they introduce them, they don't introduce what they do or what they do. They like what occupation they have. It's how many followers or subscribers they have. And I'm like, so that's your like meter of success? That 49 million. I'm like, yeah, and what? So it's funny how like that's their clout, money, and subscribers is all kind of like what they care about.